Hey runners, how's it going? I've got 13 more weeks to go for my Boston Qualifier Marathon. And so far the training's been working out pretty good. Boy, I'm living the Pacific Northwest, and for us it's been cold the the last couple of weeks. And I still got a good long run in this last Saturday with the running group. I did about 11 and a half miles, and it was about 30 degrees the whole time. It was a little chilly, but I think we're going to be out of it in about another week. And um, during the week with the cold weather, I'm not going out all the time on my runs. I did get a couple of runs in, recovery runs in this week, and we'll be doing another probably about 10 miles long run this coming weekend. And then we'll probably start launching into more of a progression of longer runs as we get closer to the actual marathon that I'm running. So that's been good. But today I thought I'd talk a little bit about running shoes and why your running shoes might be making you slower. This is a controversial topic. Anytime you start talking about running shoes, they can go in all sorts of different directions. But let me tell you where I'm coming from. Essentially, what most running shoes today do is they make it easier for you to run with bad form. And what I'm talking about is when I was coaching and I do video analysis of people's running gaits, and these are runners in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, that's older folks. Almost all of them were heel striking to some extent. And so essentially you might say you're overstriding a little bit, and you're hitting that heel with every running step. And essentially you're putting on the brakes as you're running because of that. And that's very common among us recreational runners. And it's one of the reasons why there's so many injuries for recreational runners is that puts a lot of pressure on your heel, and it transfers all the way up through your shins, knees, and hips. So it's just another avenue for you to get injured while you're running, and it slows you down. If you remember back in, I think it was 2011, when the book Born to Run came out, in a big part of that book was really talking about how the current running shoes are horrible for your running, and they don't do anything to prevent injury, and they promote bad running form, and you should be running barefoot or as naturally as possible. And in one sense, it makes a lot of sense, because if you go try and run barefoot, you are naturally going to land not on your heel, but on your midfoot or full foot with each step, because that's just the way humans were designed to run. And by running that way, you're a lot more efficient, and you take advantage of the spring that your Achilles tendon provides to spring you forward. You take advantage of all the shock absorption throughout your whole system that was designed for that running load. And you can end up running faster with fewer injuries if you adopt running that way. Of course, back when that book came out, a bunch of people went, "Whoa, wow, I should be doing this." So they tried either barefoot running or bought some zero drop shoes and went out there and immediately had problems and got injured. And there's a reason for that. The problem with us is most of the shoes that we wear during the day have a raised heel, and your running shoes, most running shoes have a raised heel. Well, since you're for the last 30 years, you walk around every day in shoes with a raised heel. What that does is that it shortens your Achilles tendon. And if you suddenly spend a lot of time running with either barefoot or with a zero drop shoe, you're putting a lot of extra tension on that shortened Achilles tendon that isn't prepared for that lengthening yet. And you're going to experience some pain and possibly get injured again. So when the book came out, a lot of people tried more natural style running, and including me, but it didn't work out for them. And then what happened was the Hoka revolution hit with this huge comforting sole, and their sales took off, and people said, "This is great. My running feels great now." And so now we have two groups of runners out there, groups such as me who run in zero drop shoes, and people who run in highly cushioned shoes. Now, if you're an elite runner, like a lot of the sponsored runners that hype these different shoe brands, they can run in anything. It's not going to affect their form. But for us normal runners, if you choose those high cushion, what they call high stack heel running shoes, you're not doing your running form or your injury risk any favors. And I suggest that if you're in this for the long game, you should really take a look at the long game and how to become more efficient with your running so that it's, number one, more enjoyable, and number two, you don't get injured as much. And the big problem with this is it takes a little bit different approach to do it the right way. And if you just go, okay, I'm going to go from a thick cushion shoe to a zero drop shoe like I run in, you're going to have problems. So the first thing you need to do is to start getting your foot used to being back in its normal shape and function. And you want to start lengthening that Achilles tendon so that you can run with these kind of shoes without getting hurt. So that starts off with number one, just be barefoot at home as much as possible. By being barefoot as much as possible, you're naturally lengthening back up that Achilles tendon, and you're also building strength in your feet because you're using them the way they should be, where your toes are splayed out. You're walking around on your midfoot. If you're on uneven terrain, all those muscles and tendons in your foot are getting stronger to allow you to move around easier just on your bare feet. And then the second thing to do is when you do wear shoes, when you do wear shoes for work or around the house, make sure those shoes are zero drop so that during the day you're either barefoot or you're walking around in zero drop shoes. And third, when you go for a run, just run with your normal shoes. Don't buy a zero drop shoe yet, because you want to spend 3 to 6 months of just walking around normal on zero drop casual shoes before you switch to actually running with zero drop shoes. So if you want to get better and not be as injured as much, then work on walking around barefoot. Make sure your casual shoes, everyday shoes, are zero drop. And then when you feel comfortable with, that's the time to switch with the zero drop running shoes. And you'll find, because those type of shoes also have a wider toe box that allows your feet to splay out, you'll end up being a lot more efficient, and your runs will be a lot more enjoyable running in those kind of shoes than running into some high stack cushiony shoe, which is giving you a false sense of cushioning and injury prevention. If you think I'm nuts talking about this, let me know in the comments. But if you really want to start to work on improving your efficiency, one of the things you can do is just change the type of shoes you're running in. See you in the next one.